a screen with a presentation.
It is. Looks okay for everybody. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we are Funky Flavor, and I am Miriam, the co-founder of Funky Flavor, and
I'm Max, the second co-founder.
And we produce healthy ferments, as you can see on the slide. But yeah, more specifically, we offer fermented products in specific, like fermented vegetables and DIY kits for people to ferment at home. And for our ready-to-eat fermented products, we only use local, organic, and mostly rescued ingredients from our collaborating local farmers. And we work with the seasons. We do raw and wild fermentation with our vegetables. And since we also offer fermented drinks, we, for example, use also kefir grains and other healthy starters. This way we want to bring new experiences to a healthy lifestyle and just show that fermentation is not only sauerkraut and kimchi. And this way we want to build a fermentation community, a fermentation culture, and just help people to open their eyes about the possibilities of fermentation. So we want to shortly come to our background. So my name is Miriam, as I already said. I have a bachelor in sociology and politics from the University of Mannheim in Germany. And I did some internships in NGOs and research institutions, mostly about social inequality or human rights. And the research institutions, they were about social research, but also about market research.
My name is Max, and I have a bachelor degree in product design from Malmö University, not SLU, as I think it was said somewhere. Yeah. I'm born actually up in Norrland, Western Norrland, and then I moved to Dalarna and then down to Skåne. So I'm gradually going closer to the continent. And before I started my bachelor degree, I worked as a tool maker for 5 years. I was standing behind machines and pressing buttons and making metal stuff. But that was pretty boring. So I wanted to do something more aesthetically. So that's why I did the product design. And I've done some design internships, both here in Malmö and also abroad in South Korea. And I also worked at the design lab as an amanuensis in Malmö University. Yeah. And so when we were kind of planning this talk, we talked about like how we would do it, and what we have come up with is kind of a timeline of our formulating the company. So because we're really much in the beginning of our entrepreneurial journey, we actually just sent in our papers for the Handelsbolag just yesterday. So we're really in the beginning. So we thought it would be more maybe inspirational for you guys to hear how the product company idea kind of evolved. So we're trying to time in some of the key points. And so we started all of this in the land of kimchi, which is South Korea. And that's where me and Miriam met. We both did the exchange semester in Seoul. And we ended up in the same student association. And there is a lot of soju and even more fermented foods because it's huge in South Korea. They even have a kimchi university. I think it's their national heritage and everything. So that's kind of how our whole partnership started in a land full of fermented foods. And after this exchange, we decided to move to Sweden together. And Miriam came here from Germany. I think it was in February, and we were all lovey-dovey and full of energy and all of this. And then in March, it was Corona time, which was not fun at all. And I was doing my bachelor thesis, and Miriam was doing her bachelor thesis. And basically, we were just stuck in the apartment, basically. And our expectations were to like travel around in Skåne and show Miriam around and do all of this fun stuff. And it was completely cut off. So we were really bored, basically. So we started to try out all of these like new kind of hobbies. We went into regrowing vegetables a lot. We even built like these shelves on our windowsills and everything to try and do kind of a regrowing kit. And we started to ferment a lot. Like we had started it a little bit and it just grew. Like I remember we had these shelves in wood and they were just completely filled with fermentation vessels and juices, and it didn't smell super good when you went into our kitchen, but we were completely hooked on just finding something to do in all of this boredom. And I mean, Miriam started to knit, and I have a whole collection of knitted clothes, and I started to paint, and it was just a lot of energy where we didn't know to put it until.
Yeah, so we really wanted to like live more sustainable. Also, like when we came to Sweden, we ate vegan, we decreased our waste, we just wanted to eat local and live with the seasons more. And we are both social people, so we wanted to share all these experiences and all these ideas we had. So we started to do a sustainable Instagram account and started to become like part of ethical influencers, in which you help like other people to live more sustainable, and in which you make sustainability more fun, because that was something we decided pretty early that was an interest we had. We wanted to live more sustainable and help other people to live more sustainable. So yeah, this is our Instagram account that we worked on. We are not working on it anymore because we we put our entrepreneurial energy on something else in the summer.
Yeah. Then at the same time, as we were doing this kind of Instagram account and we wanted to take steps to kind of create something, I was doing the bachelor thesis, and this was about micro-sustainability. And I had kind of an old idea since I've been doing a material-driven design course, that is to upcycle food waste to products to replace to-go solutions, to kind of fight takeaway solutions or single-use items. And I told this to Miriam, and she was like, "That's such a good idea." And then we started working at this idea, which is trash to gold, fighting the commercial waste or consumer waste. And so this was kind of our first version of our business start. It came from the Instagram account, and it became this product development project. And the thing is, I am a product designer, so I know about product development, and Miriam is a sociologist, so she had all of these ideas on how we can implement more sustainable behavior with this product and everything. But what we did not have was any kind of experience in running or starting or doing anything business-like. So we found out about this place, VentureLab, and we just took the lead. So we wrote applications to VentureLab, and in this application, actually, because during our time as a Instagram accounter or Instagrammer, we started to do all of this fermentation. So we actually wrote that a way of funding our trash to gold idea would be to just sell fermentation to like quickly get cash. So the whole fermentation idea was just kind of a funding strategy for this other project where we upcycle waste. But we got accepted, thank God.
Yeah, and it was somehow the start of our business life. It was the startup program in last year fall semester, and we got all of these great tools from VentureLab. Like we wrote some tools on the left side now, like the value pyramid or customer empathy map, or the MAM test on like how to ask questions, how to define our ideas more. And we used all of these tools for both Funky Flavor and for Trash to Gold at the same time, because we knew we were going to do something with both ideas and we wanted to develop both ideas so they promote sustainability, because that was like the why we wanted to do everything of this. And so yeah, we used all these tools and we got ready, and we realized that defining funky flavors was a lot of fun, and we realized that it is easier to start with funky flavor than it is with trash to gold. So we really wanted to get forward with these ideas, and before even the end of the startup program, we tested the market.
Yeah, basically we went into the startup project or startup program at VentureLab with the trash to gold idea, and by the end of it we were funky flavor, or we wanted to do fermented foods. And so this was in December sometime, I think. We started to test the market the first times, and it was just like one of these. We realized that we could be on the Reko Ringar and sell for 2 months without being a company. So we just threw something together, and we did our first ferment with a really sloppy sticker on it and really bad vessels. And then we went there. I think we went to Reko Ring 2 times, and we sold also 1 time at Bernham. Just did one of these our own pickups, and we had super good results. And I think we sold 80 units or something like this, and there was like no marketing. It was just friends telling friends. And we just got so energized by it. I mean, there are people coming back and asking for the same ferment, and really like it almost felt like we were dragged to do this kind of company. It really felt that there was a need for it. And so during November to kind of February, we just iterated the products, and we thought about the business idea and like how is it actually gonna work, how is the sticker gonna look, and what glass jars are we gonna use. And it was fun, just a lot of experimenting and collecting feedback from customers. And when it started to get more and more serious, we also realized, like, yeah, we also need to get the produce from somewhere, because in the beginning, we bought it just from Fruktogrönt, like a vegetable wholesaler here in Malmö. And I mean, they have great values, but we kind of felt that we wanted to go even more local and even more organic and even higher values. And so it was actually Marcus Kocken på Åken who just wrote us on Instagram one lovely day and just like, hey, you and we are gonna talk. And that happened, and that's when we went out to Vintrivägen and the urban farm that's out there. And we were just kind of really blown away by the morality and the values that is grown on these fields, so to speak. And so we met with Marcus, and then we started to reach out to the neighboring farmers. And at the same time we were doing this, we kind of realized, like, yeah, like even if this is small farms and they maybe don't have so much produce, there is always second-class vegetables. I mean, they grow organically, so, and there is always some vegetables that they can't get rid of. Even if it's like an infestation of some kind, or just somebody wanted a big batch and then they just don't want it anymore. And as we were talking with all of these wonderful farmers, we realized kind of what our spot was, and that was to help them grow with us. And that's when we started to think about using rescued vegetables and kind of create a second revenue stream. And I think it was at this point where the whole idea of Funky Flavor, being this local, organic, mostly rescued fermentation brand, started to really take hold. And it just felt really great. Like we connected with farmers, they liked the idea, our customers liked the idea. Yeah, it was just a great time.
Yeah.
And not so long ago either.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how it all started. Like we are still in the beginning of our journey, and when we got this great produce from local farmers, organic farmers, and only seasonal produce, we wanted to also increase the quality of our own production. So we moved into a production facility in February. Here you can see the owners of Segersmart in Aleph, where our production facility is. And yeah, we are now also taking part in the food incubator at Malmö, while at the same time still being at VentureLabs, where our office is. And yeah, by now we found different sales channels, but we want to expand our sales channels as soon as possible, because we only get really good feedback from our customers, and we get asked for specific products over and over. And yeah, we are preparing actually everything for receiving our organization number as soon as possible. Like we have applied like last week, I think, for the organization number. So now we're preparing everything for a big launch after the testing of our products. And that yeah, we learned a lot from it. We learned what our customer wants. Like we had a lot of expectations in our mind, but in the end, what actually helped us along the journey was going out and talking to our customers, talking to maybe possible sales channels, and seeing what they think about it and not what we think in our head about it. So like by now, these are the products that we have tested and that we really liked and our customers really loved as well. It's all kinds of fermented vegetables, wild and raw fermented vegetables. We actually do whatever is in season or whatever needs to be rescued. And we kind of want to open consumers' eyes that you can ferment everything. And most of it is gonna be delicious. Like we talk from our own experience of making a lot of mistakes in the last year and learning from these mistakes. What is delicious to ferment. And yeah, we don't only do fermented vegetables, but we want to open like eyes for all kinds of fermentation. So we, for example, also offer water kefir that is with water kefir grains. And in the future, we want to offer all kinds of like different fermented products. Also DIY kits, so people can start fermenting at home. And we also promote a fermentation community where we just help people if they want to try fermentation at home, because we just want to bring it in the average household back where it was, and people find the easy way on how to make their healthy diet a bit like more exciting and maybe a bit more delicious. So yeah, that was a short insight into our entrepreneurial journey, or into our by now short entrepreneurial journey. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything you want to just say, speak out.
Thank you so much. Very interesting. I do have some questions, but let's open up the floor to our other students here. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. If you can. I think you should be able to. Okay. No one? Okay, then I'll get started and maybe you'll warm up. So I really like your packaging. It really comes across, there's been some sort of educational product designer here behind that. I'm guessing that's you, Max, with the design of that packaging. Could you tell us a bit about, the journey behind finding how do one find a glass bottle, and how do one find the right packaging, and how do you buy it? I mean, it feels like there's a lot of thought behind these very nice packages, or am I wrong?
No, that's true. And we also have, because in the beginning we really were concerned about not ordering stuff from China or Asia or far away, and we wanted to stay local and really find like the more sustainable option. So we actually put down quite a lot of time searching different. I mean, we just Googled, and there was days and there was nights and there was going around. But we ended up with one supplier that's from that has German glass bottles basically. And so we just contacted them. They had a website, and we contacted them. They have a really big assortment also. And actually, me as a product designer actually did a 3D representation of the mug. So we actually tried like different colors of the lid and which kind of models we wanted to use. So there was kind of a process going through it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like with the labeling, we are still working on our label. We are constantly redesigning the label, since we have now tested the market, but for when we are a company, there is some specific regulations that has to be on the label. So we still have to work on our label to make it like look nice, be a sustainable label. That was really important for us, that it is a recycled label, and that it is like not as environmental unfriendly as some other labels. So yeah, we are still working on it, but that is like the design we want to go. But yeah, it's gonna change.
And do you do everything by hand? I mean, putting on all the labels, all this work is just by hand for now.
Yeah, it's completely. We have our old laser printer where we basically print it out, and then we sit with our finger and measure one fingertip away from the edge, and then we put it on. And
that is way more work than we thought in the beginning.
No, I can imagine. It's those small things that adds up, I guess, when it comes into time. No, we had a discussion with Skånsk Chili, who's pretty big now in products, but she used to do everything by hand herself as well, sitting with the labels on and on and on. So I can imagine. What was the reasoning behind going with English text on the label? Are you thinking more international market there or international customers? What's the reasoning there?
Yeah, that's actually pretty easy. I don't speak Swedish, so
yeah, sure.
So it is like I just like want to understand my own company, maybe.
Yeah.
And like it's also something we position ourselves as a young and modern brand. So it all just came together somehow.
It's something we discussed a lot, because it's also when we started out, I had the kind of the perception that a lot of these newer or funkier food brands, they all have like this really kind of cool sound, this old Swedish names, and it's kind of this type of branding. And but when we talked about it, we realized like going the other route and doing it just completely in English and kind of staying true to that, like not. I mean, we are an English company because we speak English, so and not going that route is also kind of giving us an edge.
Yeah, I think like for us, it was always important that the company represents ourselves. So that was, of course, we talked about it, but in the end, it was somehow an easy decision to go.
No, I think it looks great. Has anyone any other questions from the group of students?
I think we have a raised hand.
Yeah,
I have a question. Actually, not one, three actually. I want to know more about the fermentation part. I mean, how much time and how much how do I put it? My English is not so good. Things you put, like is it like much like more things that you put? Or I mean, how much time does it take, and like how much resources? I don't know.
Yeah,
that thing. And the other question is, are you also planning to move like to fishes or seafood or something? I mean, this all is mostly vegetarian, so have you thought about it? Are Swedish people, or like, I don't know, where the market that you're focusing on, are they open about fishes and maybe seafood as well? Do you know something? And how, I mean, yeah, the word of mouth is great, but how did you market it? I mean, it's really, I don't know, like, did you have a plan before, or it just got you guys? I mean, I should not say it like that, but did you guys got lucky? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
So yeah, maybe we start with the first question. Yeah. How much resources and like time we put in the fermentation and like in general in our production. So yeah, fermentation, it lives from time. So it's actually like controlled molding, if you want to say it. And it's like we ferment our products between 2 and 4 weeks. So it's more like a short fermentation. You can ferment them for years, but we just think that the flavor is the best after like 3 to 4 weeks. And after that, it won't change so much. And since it's work for us, we decided to do more short fermentation. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and also something that we talked about, if I'm just going to the ingredients, because we are doing raw fermentation and wild fermentation. And that means that we are not preparing any of the vegetables before. We're just cutting or shredding or chopping. And then we are not putting any fermentation starters. We're just using the already existing lactic acid bacteria that are on the vegetables. And our kind of idea is also to stay really low with the amount of produce we put in one ferment. So we don't want to do this super complicated recipes. We rather do just like cabbage and celery, or polka beet and carrots, because you can also mix these ferments yourself. And then just like the resources, I mean, we are going to the production facility and turning and checking and taking pH measurements of the ferments every day in the first week at least, and then every second day for the remainder of the time. And it's also, I don't know if you see it, but on the labels we have these kind of black circles. And on them, we write how many days it is fermented, because we don't really have a structure where everything is fermented the same. We're really doing it like by ear, like we are starting a fermentation batch and then we are tasting it. And when it's delicious, then we put it in the fridge so it slows down the fermentation. Yeah. But it actually doesn't stop. So if it's too long in the refrigerator, it's going to continue to ferment anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, that is how what we put in the production or in the resources of producing. And then what was the second question again? I don't know, can you, we didn't note.
It was like, how did you market it? Did you go to person, or like, how did you find the people who will buy these products?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
We actually haven't marketed ourselves so much at all.
Yeah.
We started out and we just spread the word to everybody we met everywhere.
Yeah.
And we had a web page where we put a pickup point in Värnhem. And then we also went to Rekoringa, because that's kind of already where our customer base would be. So we went there and like just showed ourselves and just tried to do a good impression, basically.
Yeah, it's right now we are working on our social media and our website to redesign for a big launch. But before that, everything was online. So we had our Instagram where we marketed ourselves. We had the website, and then it was just like friends, 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 and so on. So it because like so far everyone who tried our products came back, so that is speaking for us, and we just let the people try it, and usually they will spread the word. In the future we have to like scale up more, but that is how we did it in the testing period.
It also seems like, I mean, with the restaurant part, because we have two parts, like we have restaurant customers and we have end user customers or directly consumers. And by the consumers, there was a lot of spread, just like rings on the water, kind of, where we just saw people coming in and more and more. And with the restaurants, I mean, they are already talking a lot of the restaurants. So when we contacted one restaurant, they would say like, "Oh, look at this! I got this from Funky Flavor." They're like, "What? What's Funky Flavor?" And it spreads on. So I think it's important to see where your product would fit, and then just engage with that community in every way you can.
Yeah.
And I would also say that Instagram is the best tool ever.
Yeah,
it's a really good tool because you find the accounts and the people that's already in there, and you can talk and you can really connect and start collaborations. And then we also had the luck to be in the VentureLabs. Like there's a lot of entrepreneurs there, and they also spread the words in ways that's really beneficial. Also the food incubator, a lot of food is there. So so there was no real plan other than just finding the right spot to be and then just represent. Yeah. And but there was a third question also that I think lost now somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, are you also planning for fishes or seafood or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am actually in love with surströmming, has always been. That's so for me it would be cool, but I think that the plan was to stay vegetables.
Exactly, we want to stay at least vegetarian for now. So, but that is something we won't exclude. Like we will see how it goes and how we feel for it, since we see ourselves more as spreading the word of fermentation and not specifying like this is the only product we're gonna have, but we want to show what you can do with fermentation. But yeah, like we haven't thought about it yet, like animal products in general, but or at least not vegetarian products. Yeah.
I see also because there is also, I think it's good because we are really in the beginning, and I think we kind of struggle also because we see things that we want to do, but I feel it's kind of good to kind of get one branch under control first. So we started with the vegetables, and then we're just gonna keep on going with the vegetables till we feel that we have this completely under control before we start expanding. And because in the end you're gonna have maybe a lot of products where you don't fully understand them and see where they should be placed or so basically one
Super.
step.
I think that was very good answers to all those questions. Does anyone else have any question from the group? No, not yet. Then I'll fill in with one question here. Product testing. How do you, I mean, when you're giving a product to your friends, then that's sort of like the mom test, right?
Yeah.
They have to say it's good. So how do you actually, get that feedback? Is that if they come back to Recording, do you have the conversation there? Where do you have that conversation?
Yeah, it happened a lot when they came back. And we also did one thing that we did small notes. So when we had new people that were ordering our product, we did a small little note just explaining that we're really new and we really want your input and that it's really valuable for us. And then kind of reached out or we also did this thing where we put customer quotes on our Instagram. So when there was somebody buying, we asked if we could take a picture, and then we kind of like, do you have anything to say? And it was a really open kind of question, and we just really listened to what they said there. Like if they said it's so tasty, or they want to help small entrepreneurs, or like to kind of see.
Or the microbes, or some people wanted to have something that is healthy for the gut, builds up the gut health. So yeah, different reasons.
Primarily by selling and then asking. I mean, that's basically the only thing we did. And we were pretty scared also in the beginning, because we also we did this kind of real mom test. So we just invited a lot of friends, but that we know are chefs, and they work at Systembolaget, so they have this like wine tasting kind of abilities. And we just like, yeah, it's gonna be a party. And then we just like did a whole buffet with ferments, and we were just like, what do you think? And everybody thought it was so good, and that made us really scared that it's just like this issue that it's just our friends saying that it's good,
and also like now we are part of the Lund Matvaru Kooperativet, so we offer our products there, and we did like a small customer survey that they sent to their customers and our customers then, of like what did they like about the ferments, what did they don't like about the ferments, and maybe what do they want to see, were they disappointed about it, or were they surprised about the flavor. And I think it's something like we are still in the beginning. We try to engage with our customers as much as possible. But it's sometimes hard, even though you sell a product to someone, to engage with him, so or her. Like we just try it as much as possible.
Have you had to change a lot? I'm thinking from the feedback. Do you know some products that you started out with, are they completely different now?
Yeah, I mean we did some alterations to the kefir. A lot, but that's one thing that is also is that we are kind of not really having one stable product. It is more like whatever comes our way, we are fermenting. So it's also kind of in a sense hard, like we're testing all these small things and nuances or mixes, but it's also, and since it's wild ferment, it's never actually always gonna taste the same, even if it's the same type of vegetables. So I think it's gonna be a pretty long process of collecting everything that we can possibly collect to kind of build up the intuition of what will be good.
I think for us it will actually take 1 year to implement the feedback. Since we work with the seasons, we get feedback on Brussels sprouts, and then we're gonna wait until the Brussels sprout come again to implement this feedback. So it's kind of different to other brands.
Yeah, you're very seasonal, which I think is super interesting and great, and it gives you the opportunity to really do save fruits that are local and actually use those. We got a question here in the chat from Diona. Giselle, do you need some accreditations for food safety? That was a mouthful. Accreditations for food safety.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, especially with fermentation. So, and that's basically playing around with bacteria and microbes, and it could go wrong. There's actually cases where people die from doing fermentation. So there is a lot, but so far in our company we have been in this kind of hobbyverksamhet and testing period. So you are allowed to start out testing small scale, like really small batches, and to try out maybe a market or sell on Reko-ring. And now, since we are applying for a handelsbolag, as soon as we get the organization number and everything, we are going to have people coming and checking our facilities and seeing all of these. Like you have to prevent stuff from happening.
Like
so we have, exactly. So you have to have steps implemented that is individual to your space and to your product that is preventing the worst things from being able to happen. So for example, in our case, it would be to make sure that the pH level drops below 4% pH within the 2 first days. That's one of these like big things that you need to do when you need to record it, and you write it down and make sure that everything is happening. But it's also because it's really easy to call them up and ask what do I need to do, and like they're really keen. Just call Livsmedels or Miljöhälsats actually, and just ask them what is expected, what is needed, and they send you tons of information. And it's because I was actually a little bit scared in the beginning, like calling there and like feeling that maybe you don't have the knowledge about it, but actually they are there to tell you the knowledge. Like they are there to guide you into doing it safely, because everybody's concern is that it's gonna be safe food, and so on. So
like they don't want to catch you when you're doing it wrong. Like they actually want to help you to do it right, and that's like something we started to realize after some time. And luckily you have this like somehow testing period where you can check, is there a market, and if there is a market, you can increase the quality of your ferments or of your product.
Super good question. Anyone else here from the students have a question?
Hi, Ludwig here. I have one question. Regarding the finances, have you had some private capital, or how have you started up the whole company? Are you living on this like money from VentureLab, and at the end, how much money have you spent so far in starting up this company? Probably without gaining a lot of revenues at the beginning, so you need some pre-funding. So I'm interested in how your financial concept is backing that up.
So
we haven't had,
we had some money that we invested, but it was actually like why we started for Funky Flavors so early was that it was possible to do without a lot of funding. Like you actually just need some basic equipment and then you can start it. And I think that was a bit like the motivational reason. Like, of course, I think so far we invested, I think a few thousands at least, but that's something like you don't count it, you don't realize it in the beginning as much. It's like step by step, and it motivates you every time when you get good feedback, you're gonna invest more. And like we have to be able to pay our bills like everyone in the beginning, and that's like a struggle, of course, in the beginning. And it's something like, for example, we applied for different funding right now, like Max got accepted for the Leapfrogs. So, and I got accepted for Starter Eagles to just be able to live. And then it's hard as an entrepreneur in the beginning. But it's also really motivating when you go step by step. And I mean, the best money is the customer money. So if we get money from our customers and then we grow, it feels better than getting money from somewhere else to be able to grow.
One of the reasons why we switched from Trash to Gold, the product design project, and to do Funky Flavor is just like Miriam says, like we could ferment one batch and sell that batch and then take that money to buy new produce, and then you gradually build. And so I think we're a little bit lucky that we had that kind of business idea. And also these places, Rekoringen and other kind of farmers markets like this is really valuable to kind of start out and see if it's going to work at a really small cost, basically. And we were also students at the time. So we actually had CSN helping us pay the bills. Because I mean, so far we don't take out any pay. We don't really get any like big money to talk about yet. It's just buying a new Helde cutter or buying the next batch of ferments, and I mean, I think also it's really necessary for you to do something that you really want to do, to be able to pedal through these initial times. Yeah, I would also say that starting something during your studies is a really smart move, because then you don't really need to worry so much about losing the apartment, and can concentrate more on creating that customer revenue.
I think that's a very good point, and I think, I mean, that's why we're working with VentureLab as well, and you're guys from VentureLab in Lund, and I think that's a great opportunity to actually try to develop your idea during your time as a student, when there is this great opportunity to get both financial support and coaching. So I think, you know, that's we're hoping more students will try to develop their ideas through VentureLab, of course. It's time is running out, but do we have any more final questions from the students? No, then I'll just, okay. I'm just going to ask, you know, one final question here, which is sort of that you have on all these things you're working with that you get from VentureLab. Is this, where do you see yourself in X amount of time? So, you know, you've done a lot of work just, you know, for these past 6 months. Everything has just really happened for you guys. So I think it's very hard to answer the question. I think I think we should arrange a tasting here at Gråhuset when Corona is out. We'll just have a big workshop fermenting and having a great tasting. I think that's a wonderful idea. But I'm just thinking, because I find it very hard to relate to like 5 years, because everything is going so fast. But, you know, have you thought about where do you want to go? Where do you guys want to be in like 1 year? Have you thought about that? Where do you need to be?
That's better than 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, somehow, because now we are rented in basically we are producing our. That's one dream, is to start getting our completely own facility with solutions that fit us rather than another company that we're just using.
Yeah.
And we also see that we actually have gotten the DIY kits. This part started, because the idea is not just to sell fermented food, it's to make people ferment themselves. And so this is something that I really wish is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, like right now, we're building collaborations with our farmers, and in 1 year, they're gonna know what we like to ferment, and we will know what they like to plant. So we will, I think, have a more symbiotic collaboration with our farmers, and also like with our cluster producers, and all kinds of collaboration. I think it's gonna be more smoothly than it is now. Yeah, that's nice.
Have you guys considered, I mean, volume, I guess, is very important for you. You know, you need the sales. Have you thought about where you need to be volume-wise? Can you grow that fast? Is that doable?
Right now we have the capacity for 200 liters, something like this, per 2 weeks. And if we get that, I think we will be at the place where we can actually pay the rent, maybe. And I mean, that's step one, and that's good. So I think, like, we see it like we need to bust the limits that we have now as fast as possible. And I think when we reach there, we're actually sustainable, like able to sustain ourselves. And from there, it's gonna be just expand.
Yeah, and also I don't have the numbers right now in our head. And my head, our head, but it's like we did some calculations, like some assumptions for the next year, and it should be able that at least one person could live from this company after 1 year. And as we assume it now, it could happen.
No, I think it will happen. I think this is a great idea, and you guys are doing great products. And you know, I think it's very relatable, and I think you have the exact right timing for it as well. Just looking at similar products at the market, and as you said, you know, fermentation is very hot with the gut microbes and everything, and going vegetables vegan is very smart as well. So just looking at, for instance, I mentioned Skånsk Chili before. We were there and spoke with her several years ago. She was just working by herself then. Now there are two in the company, and as you know, sales have skyrocketed. So I think you're definitely on the right path, and you know, I'm sure it's going to work out great for you guys. And I hope we can do something here once the COVID ends, and it would be great to do something surrounding fermentation and the culture surrounding it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for this exceptional talk. It was very, very nice to hear. I can just mention, if you guys out there listening want to do something similar, just contact us at VentureLab. We can offer the same opportunities that Max and Miriam has been given. And we also have access to the SLU Food Lab, which is great, which is a facility where you can actually try to do things in a very secure way, where it's an actually approved facility for this type of things. So I think it's I think the idea is just to give it a go, try it out and see what happens, like you guys did. So once again, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for letting us be here and share.
Okay, cheers.